Welcome to Unleashing Happiness. I am your host, Cecilia Hendricks, and this is a podcast where I am taking the teachings of Neville Goddard and connecting them with science-backed tools so you can create a journey towards a life that you truly love. I'm going to unlock the power of assumption so that you can build life-changing habits and embrace self-love to actually change your identity so that you can guide yourself into becoming the person you want to be. Although manifestation is definitely talked about in a very clickbaity kind of woo-woo type of way, there's actually quite a bit of logic to it when you look at it from the stance of you being the person that you want to be, that what your assumptions are of yourself is what the world reflects back to you, and that your habits and routines actually build the person that you are. And so I'm going to use this podcast and this platform to connect all of that together so that you can actually live a life that you truly enjoy. I give action-based, actual steps that you can take to shift your identity into the person that you want to be and to be able to empower yourself to make lasting and positive change in your life using these spiritual-based and science-backed tools. So here we are going to learn how to change your habits, change your mindset, and actually change your life. And today I am reading from chapter 8 of Neville Goddard's Your Faith is Your Fortune. We're going to talk a lot about what it means to be your own master and how your consciousness and what you believe true of yourself is what you're going to actually see and receive from the world. In chapter 8 of Your Faith is Your Fortune, Neville Goddard starts by saying, "Thou shalt have no other God beside me. As long as man entertains a belief in a power apart from himself, so long will he rob himself of the being that he is. Every belief in powers apart from himself, whether for good or evil, will become the mold of the graven image worshipped. The beliefs in the potency of drugs to heal, diets to strengthen, monies to secure, are the values or money changers that must be thrown out of the power. He can then unfailingly manifest that quality." And so I want to kind of take a step back because I think a lot of times this is the content that gets a little confusing and difficult for people. But when somebody sees themselves as healthy or somebody sees themselves as unhealthy, that is kind of what they're receiving in the world. And a lot of times this creates a little bit of a cycle of either blaming, casting blame on yourself, or not actually giving yourself the grace to go out and seek the things that would help you out. And I want to start with the first one and then we'll hit the second one. So when I read these teachings, what I am hearing is that everything that I am is imagined by me. So the reason that I am that thing is because I believe it to be true of myself, whether that's unhealthy, healthy, in poverty, wealthy, loved, undesired, whatever it is, it's all because I'm holding this belief. Everything that I am is because I have chosen to say that, yes, this is actually true. I believe in this. But what this does not mean is that I have to give myself a form of self-loathing or to be upset because my current life is reflecting to me these things that I believe is true. Just because you believe it, you know, or you're saying yes, and I say you know because you're saying, yes, I know that I am ill. I know that I have back problems. I know that I have an illness that I can't get over. I know that I have this type of poverty in my life. I know that I'm undesired. Those things could be unwanted. That does not mean that you are purposely drawing them into your life. It is very easy for us to get stuck in a cycle of saying, okay, this is happening to me. If these law of assumption principles are true, then what the community is saying is that it's my fault that I'm actually in this position. And that's where I think it is not your fault, right? We're human. We're completely imperfect, which is what makes us so beautiful and so amazing. We are learning. There's experiences that we're having, and some of those experiences are unwanted. They could be considered negative. They could be considered things that you would rather rid your life of. And I personally believe that there's a lot of things happening on the other side of the veil that we are just not familiar with and we're not aware of and we're not conscious of. We don't have the capacity in our human brains to understand our true selves on the actual magnitude that it is. And I say our true selves because I believe that we are all parts of God, right? The whole world, everything that we experience, everything that is here is God. God is in absolutely everything. So each experience that we're having is God personified. God is experiencing life for some sort of reason, and I don't know what reason that is. I just believe that that's what's happening, which means that at the core of us, there is nothing that God cannot do. I can do all things through the Lord who strengthens me. I repeat this to myself quite a bit. Like, I can do all things, which sometimes means survive through traumatic events or events that I would prefer not to have. And although I do believe that it is my consciousness and my beliefs and what I have chosen to believe as true that is going to create and be present in my own life and in my world and in my reality, that does not mean that I cast blame on myself. Instead, I see it as a learning experience. What is happening to me now, and why am I reacting this type of way? If I have a reaction or I lash out in a specific way that is not in alignment with the type of life that I'd like to lead, maybe I lash out in anger in a way, or I behave in jealousy, or I get frustrated with somebody and don't provide them the grace that they need, that's not really aligned with my personal core values and the type of person that I want to be and the identity I want to hold. So then I start to ask myself, well, why did I behave that way? Why was my reaction this way? And then that's when I can dig into my own personal development and start to expand the type of person that I am. Who am I? How do I want to behave? What are the values that I want to hold? What is my personal integrity in this situation? And how do I feel about this way that somebody else is treating me? Because even if someone is treating me in a bad way, it's still my perception. I may not be able to control exactly what they do. And I think letting go of control is a huge point of this. You have to let the world be alone. Focus on you and yourself, and not in a selfish way, but in the internal feelings that you have. How can you take care of you? What are the things that you can do? And then you have the things come reflect to you back in the world, right? The world is like one big mirror. What you put out, you're going to get back, but you can't change what's in the mirror. You can't force change what's in the mirror. You have to start with you first, and then the mirror will reflect a difference. So although I may not be able to control the way that somebody else treats me or the things that they do or the events that end up bubbling up in my life, because it's not my fault. I'm not controlling every aspect of my life. There's a lot of beliefs that I have that I'm not even aware of. There's a lot of subconscious things that are built into me from childhood and the way that I was raised and the experiences that I've had that I'm not going to really be aware of. And sometimes I don't have a desire to change those. But the ones that I want to change, I'm able to focus on. I'm able to change my own perspective. And although I may not be able to change the way somebody treats me, I can change the way that I manage that. I can change the way that I react to that. I can change the way that I view myself when it's done. I can make a choice to what I'm going to do with what happened to me and the way that I'm going to speak to myself and the way that I'm going to view myself. There's this remarkable book that I recently read called The Choice, Embrace the Possible. And it's written by a Holocaust survivor, and her story is amazing. She is an absolutely beautiful soul. And I love that she wrote this book. She's got some other ones that I'd like to get as well, because I just really enjoyed her writing. I loved her personality, and I really loved her message. And one of those messages is that there is a difference between being a victim and being victimized. So we are all going to be victimized at some point in our life. Something's not going to go our way. A friend's going to talk bad behind our back. A lover's going to cheat on us. There's going to be something that's going to happen that victimizes us, and it doesn't feel good, and you don't appreciate the way that you're treated. And as this author was, she was victimized by the Holocaust, which is this remarkably heart-wrenching, awful story. And the way that she was treated is just completely inhumane. It's awful. But I appreciate her sharing her story to show us that you can still make a choice in what you do with that. And you can either be a victim or you can be a survivor. And if you live in a victim mentality, you're holding on to what has happened to you. You're unable to move forward with healing, because healing comes from feeling and processing the things that happen to you. And if you've had something horrifically traumatic happen to you, like something on the level of what happened to her, or honestly, even if it's on what other people may consider a small level, don't let anybody tell you how your trauma is allowed to affect you. Right? We each process things differently. And you may have a traumatic event that somebody's like, that wasn't even that big of a deal. And that's not their place. You are allowed to feel the things that you need to feel. I could have something happen to me that triggers from an event that happened 10 years ago, and then it's much more real and much more painful to me in this moment than maybe it would be for somebody else. And that's okay, because I am my own person and I'm going to feel the way that I need to feel. And I'm not going to shame my own feelings. Like, this is my feeling, my reaction. What I do have control over is what I do with it. How long do I stay in that reaction? Do I go seek the help of a professional in my area who may help me get through and process some of these feelings? And there is no shame in that. And that was the second point that I wanted to talk about, is I think sometimes when folks fall into the law of assumption type community or positive thinking, law of attraction, one of the things that they tend to do is lean very far into, I don't need help with anything. I can just change the way that my body is. I can change the way that I look. I can change everything about my life just using my mind. And here's the thing. I actually believe that you can. I just think you have to be honest with yourself about your levels of belief and where you're putting your belief in. And there is no shame in saying, you know what, my belief in for me to have the body that I want and to look the way I want and to feel the way that I want is that I need to eat fresh foods, that I need to really move my body, be outside in the sunshine. I believe that is true. I have no desire to change that. So I am giving some of this power out to an external event, me working out, me going for my walks, me journaling, me doing meditation, me focusing on eating fresh, good foods are ways that I feel good. They're ways that I show up for myself and that I feel better. I have more energy. I just feel more enlightened. My mood is increased. I feel better this way. So I am putting a belief into something external, and I'm okay with that. And so I think it's okay to say, hey, I'm going to go seek a licensed therapist so that I can get some help to get through this traumatic event. Or I'm going to take the medication for this illness that I currently have, or I'm going to go get a surgery done on my knee, etc., whatever it is. Because although I do believe that there is nothing that God cannot do, I also believe that based on our own subconscious beliefs, sometimes that is presented to us in something external for us to go do. That's how those actions kind of connect. My identity is going to lead me to the action that I need to take. And I'm okay saying, yes, I'm going to go ahead and accept this and I'm going to do it. There just comes a point where there is an absolute freedom in realizing that your feelings of being stuck and or unhappy are really just out picturing of your own internal beliefs. Like, you can actually change those beliefs that you have. You can broaden your awareness. You can start to work daily towards becoming this person that you want to be, living this life that you want to lead. And it's all going to come back to your daily habits and routines. Who is it that you want to be? What are the things that you want to experience? How do you want to feel? Because remember, you are because you think that you are, which I know sounds like a little kind of ridiculous, right? But everything that you are is because you have decided to believe that true of yourself. So there is something to use yourself almost as like your own self experiment, right? Your own like little science experiment to say, what happens if I start to shift this conversation? What happens if I change the way that I'm behaving each morning when I wake up? So many of us are caught in the cycle of doing these habits and routines that are coming to us without us even thinking about it. We unconsciously fall into these behaviors. We unconsciously start to talk to ourselves the same way that we talked to ourselves yesterday. We unconsciously roll out of bed with the same feelings, thoughts, and beliefs that we had yesterday. So wake up today and start making some changes to that. Pick an area of life to say, I want to expand myself. I want to do better for me. And figure out what are the habits and routines that I have around that belief. How am I treating myself? How am I talking to myself? Where am I allowing myself the movement and the opportunity to become better each and every day. And the best way to do that is to look at your habits. What are you doing? How does your day look? If you want to be like a top athlete, right? Like make it to the Olympics. Are you getting up every day and working on that craft? Are you practicing and getting better? Are you doing anything even in your own mind to get better for that? Michael Phelps is actually known very well for mentally rehearsing everything in the pool. He talks about it a lot, that he was prepared for essentially anything that could go wrong or happen because he had mentally prepared for it. He had visualized it so many times and felt himself in that pool, swimming that race, doing his thing. And so when it came to the time to do it, his body was already equipped because he had already lived it in his mind. Your imagination is like the preview of what's coming next. I think there's an Albert Einstein quote around that. So when you're imagining these wonderful things for yourself, it's because you're preparing for them and you're able to. You just have to put the trust in yourself that you can make the changes to your life that you're looking to make. You can live the type of life that you want to make. And it really all comes down to breaking yourself free from your self-imposed limitations. What limitations are you placing on yourself? What are you continuing to tell yourself that you cannot do, or continuing to tell yourself that you're going to live? Like if you continue to say to yourself, I'm just always going to be sad. I'm never going to feel joy. I'm never going to have love in my life. I'm never going to have the career that I want. Look around at your life. Are you personifying? Are you living this reality, this story that you've told yourself? And that's not to sound harsh, but you are able to start telling yourself a new story. You're able to get up and make small shifts to the way that you're treating yourself and the things that you're doing to really open up the world so that you can manifest wonderful things into your life. And that is not a woo-woo piece of talking about manifestation. Manifestation should be talked about much more often because we are constantly bringing things into our life. It's the way that we praise with our feelings. We are essentially telling the universe, God, source, whatever word you prefer to use, what we want with our attention and our feelings. It's essentially like an algorithm. We're saying, yes, I want more of this, so bring it on. Come on and bring it to me. And then that's what you receive. But it doesn't need to be difficult to create the shift. If you are looking to make some changes in your life, I recommend that you sit down and you take a hard look at what you actually want in life. If you knew that your time was limited, what are things that you would stop doing? Like, let's say that you are really hung up on an ex right now and you miss them desperately. And I know that that can actually feel painful, like physically painful to miss somebody. But how are your actions and habits and routines that you're doing each day? What are they telling you? Are they essentially just telling you over and over that you are missing this person and that you're completely heartbroken? And I want you to pay attention then to what is it that I want? What are the things that I would like to feel when I go to bed at night? And then you can start asking yourself each and every day throughout the day, is this current action that I'm doing right now aligned to that feeling I want to have when I go to bed? So let's say that you want to feel loved, right? You miss your ex and you want to be in another relationship. You really want a healthy, strong relationship based on wonderful communication where it's two people that are open and loving towards each other. There's passion, there's just wonderful fun, and you found your person, right? And so when you go to bed, you just want to feel like, oh, they're next to me. I feel so good. I'm loved. I'm desired. I feel wonderful. But yet you look at your 2 p.m. behavior and realize that you are crying, scrolling your ex's Instagram because they're dating a new girl. And so you're like, oh my gosh, is this action aligned to how I want to feel when I go to bed tonight? If the answer is no, change it. You have the ability to make a change, whether that's just get up and go do a short walk, journal, read a book, do a puzzle, do some artwork, watch a YouTube video, whatever it is, something to get your mind off of that. Start interrupting those quote unquote bad habits and behaviors. Whatever is a habit or behavior, it's not aligned to the person you want to be. When you catch yourself in it, break yourself of it and just say to myself, oh, we're not doing this anymore. We are changing because we are loved. I am loved and desired, so I'm not going to behave like this. I'm not going to continue on this path. And that is my recommendation for you today, is to put the faith back into yourself. Stop putting it outside of you and start looking at your own behaviors and if it aligns to the person that you want to be. I am also very happy to announce that I have started a coaching program for personal development. So my coaching is all around teaching you how to change your self-concept, focus on the personal goals and desires that you have so that you're able to become this person that you want to be, with some guidance on how to focus, maybe areas that you can make some changes, and then definitely starting to dig into uncovering your limiting beliefs. I will put a link down below where you can find out more information about this. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. It's unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. If you found this episode beneficial, I would absolutely love if you left me a rating or a review if you're listening on podcast episode or a podcast streaming platform, or if you're listening on YouTube, give the video a thumbs up. Lets me know, yes, this is the kind of content that we like and we're appreciating this. If you have any questions, you can also leave it in the comments below if you are listening on YouTube. And I will be back on Monday, but there will definitely be more content this week on my YouTube channel. So make sure you go check that out. It's Unleashing Happiness, or you can also find me by searching Cecilia Hendricks. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful week, and I am so excited that you joined me here today.